Okay. So have you always lived on the street?
No, we've been here. We moved in here about 20 years ago.
Years ago. And how did you hear about this street? Where did you come
Well, the
across
streets. It's funny because it's not so well known by a lot of Romans.
Right.
But my husband, who is Roman, he knew about the street for a long time, and we were always looking for sort of an independent house. And finally, one day we found it, and that's how we bought it.
That's awesome.
Buying it.
And how were you able to come hear about how it was your husband to hear about the street to begin with?
Well, it was always known. This street was, This is a street, but not only this street. There's. I don't know if you've been to Villaricio. You know,
No, not yet.
You should go there if you're interested in these things. That orange building that you see right in front.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole condominium. And go inside. It's really nice. It's worth seeing. These were all neighborhoods that were built in the 1920s. These were what they call casa popolari, houses for this street in particular was built for the employees of the Camera dei Deputati.
Oh, okay.
But not for the deputati, but for elevator men and maintenance people, and that's how this street was born. That condominium was built for the ferrovieri, for the railway people. Okay, so these were always known as architecturally as very interesting, unique sort of pieces in Rome, because they're not Roman architecture, Roman style. It was something done by these architects back in the 1920s. This is 1922, and so it's always been known. It's always been very difficult to find a house here because until about 20 years ago, this wasn't really. How can I say it? Flaminio itself, this whole neighborhood, wasn't sort of like Parioli or the center of Rome or anything.
Exactly.
It was sort of a side neighborhood to the center city. So we happened to find this house. It was, to our luck, an ad badly written.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. So we were lucky to read it well and sort of figure out where it was. As they hadn't even put where the house was.
Wow.
They just said, entire house for sale, because a lot of these houses are no longer one piece. They're divided into apartments. Like this one, for example, is 4 different apartments. This is apartments. Not all of them are single houses. So we were very lucky to find a single house. Okay.
And obviously, this is a private street.
It's a private street, yes.
So I assume then the neighbors should know each other relatively well.
Oh yes, this is the wonderful thing about here is that we all know each other. It's like living in a village. We often, if I come in, or my husband used to come in for work, and I'd be sitting with my neighbor Samantha, who's half American as well, drinking a glass of wine, and then, this neighbor would join. He said, my husband said, okay, I'm bringing out a bowl of pasta, and we'd be 20 people sitting with our chairs, like in the southern part of Italy, sitting on the sidewalk and eating a bowl of pasta all together. So yes, this does happen. It's a small community, and there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of turnover.
What's like the one sort of modernizing thing that you sort of regret about this area, if there is one?
Of the street or of the neighborhood?
Of the neighborhood.
Well, no, I don't think I regret anything. I regret that this stadium, which is marvelous, is abandoned. The stadium, which I don't know if you've seen, the Stadio Flaminio, it was built by a very prominent Italian architect called Nervi. He's the one who did the Sala Nervi at the Vatican, where it's an auditorium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he built, and this has been abandoned for the last at least 10 years. But in the meantime, the auditorium, the music auditorium was built. In the meantime, the Maxi Museum was built by Zaha Hadid, the Iranian architect. So this neighborhood has been very well requalified, let's put it that way. But it's kept a lot of its small community characteristic. Let's put it that way.
And are there like a lot of strangers living here? Because I assume the article that I wrote was actually written in English, surprisingly. And you happen to be lived in America, and there was Samantha that was half American.
Yes.
Are there other like?
No, foreigners, no.
Okay.
No. I mean, Samantha is the daughter of an ex-Italian ambassador abroad. No, besides us, there are no foreigners. I mean, my husband's Italian.
Yeah.
So no, there are no other foreigners. It's some people are still the original people whose parents were
Oh, that was like the original inhabitants.
Yes.
Wow, wow.
This is my daughter. She speaks English.
Nice to meet you. Or just doing like an interview for this
He's doing an
article.
interview because he studies for the.
No, so I'm like doing like an internship
Okay.
for this organization.
Okay.
Yeah, and pretty much I have to do 3 projects, video blog or interview wise, and then just submit it. So this is one of them.
So he picked
Yeah.
the street. So we're chatting.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him a little greeting.
Would you like to be in there as well for me to ask you one question?
Sure.
Okay, let me just come in a bit. So what's your name,
I'm
by
not
the way?
wearing a mask, unfortunately.
What's your name, by the way?
Clotilde,
Clotilde. Nice to meet you. I'm Jackie.
nice to meet you.
So, as your mom says, there are like, you know, a lot of original inhabitants and also some people who just moved to this area. In terms of the average age, would you say, you know, are there a lot of youngsters or like yourself, or are the average age super old or?
And on this street
Along
in
the street,
particular, I'd say that there's more 30-year-olds, more or less. There's a lot
Really?
of, yeah,
That's really surprising.
like beginning of their career who move in here, because a lot of these houses have been split up in flats and apartments. So they just rent out a floor, and there's a lot of people who also start their families here in their mid-30s, more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
And then there's families who've lived here a long time. So
Yes, it's a mix of everything. There is a turnover, and the street has become, in a way, good, in a way less good, famous because everybody. This street is used for a lot for films
Of course.
and ads and TV ads. no, besides that, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of the advertisements that go on television, cinema, and so we rent the street out for these things. So it's become also very well known because of that, and also because the press writes about it. Most of these houses were redone. Everybody repainted their houses. When we came here, it was much more run down than it is right now. And my husband was president of the street, so we found funding to redo the street. We did the sidewalks and put the new lighting up, and so we sort of revamped.
Thank you for doing that. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it was a big job.
I can imagine.
It was a big job because we had to do all the sewage system underneath, and this is the old, San Pietrini is a beautiful Roman street. Before it was all asphalt, it was no big deal. So it's nice living here. It's very quiet.
I recommend it.
Yes, absolutely. It's
They call it Little London.
yeah. But it's like I was saying, it's like a little community. We all know each other. Now everybody went away from the summer, so we keep an eye on my house, keep an eye on my house. We sort of help each other. It's nice. Ai. Sì, ho detto.
Because that street there used to be an old Roman street, Via Flaminia, which takes you straight to Piazza del Popolo, which was the heart of the city at the time. So if you walk further down to your left, you'll see all ancient Roman ruins that have been excavated from this street. And even here, when they did the works, they had to take out all the street.
Artifacts and stuff, yeah.
And they actually found pieces, and because there was
Of old Roman
things
the old Roman
underneath.
city was here.
I mean, this is like pretty much the Nachi, like you've dug something and then like every 2 meters or so there's something coming out of it.
Yeah,
right?
when we did the works, when my husband did the works, we had a permanent architect from the mayor's office here, an archaeologist, not an architect.
Wow.
I'm sorry, an archaeologist. Obligingly had to be here because if you found a Roman column, so you just couldn't put it in your backyard. You just had to, it belongs to the state. So every day there was an archaeologist here controlling, to see if we found
But
anything.
that's everywhere in Rome.
That's everywhere.
Of course.
As soon as you dig, you find.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's it. Thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for doing this and also
you.
restructuring everything. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Ciao.